Hello and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with me, Mike Duffy, and I'm joined here today by Cameron Smart, and we're here to talk to you about that thrilling game we've just witnessed down in Devon, a 3-3 away draw against Plymouth Argyle. On the whole, I mean, we'll obviously talk about this more in depth, but on the whole, I think a respectable point. I think Plymouth are a good team at home. They've got one of the best home records in the division, and we keep going from strength to strength in the away games. So we'll absolutely take it. But first things first, Cam. Obviously, we spoke last in the Plymouth Argyle preview, and we spoke about that we'd make, and then we give the team that we expected to go out, and then the team that we would like to have gone out. There were three changes. Andrews coming for Deli Bashir at right back, Kayembe coming for Asprilla, and Rajovic coming for Bio. Now, that Kembe for Asprilla meant that Chakvatadze actually went out wide, and then Kayembe dropped into the middle where Chakvatadze was playing. Those three changes, bearing in mind who we had available, etc., were you happy with those changes?
Look, I was left a little bit bemused by those changes. Obviously, we all knew Rajovic had come in for Bio. Whatever you think about Rajovic, we all knew that he'd be starting this game. I thought KMB had to come back in. He came on against Stoke and he gave us a bit more solidity. And I thought he should have come in for Kone because Kone's sort of been fading a bit lately, and I don't think that changed too much today, other than his goal. Which we'll get to. But yeah, I would have put KMB in for Kone and left Georgie in the middle. And the weirdest thing for me was I just don't think you can drop Yasser Asprilla. And I thought in that first half, as open as it was, he would have had a field day. But yeah, it was a bit disappointed to see him left out.
Yeah, and we've often spoke about this. It's either he gets left out or he plays and then gets dragged at the 60th minute. And it's like, really frustrating because why? Is there something we don't know? Is there a reason he can't play the full game? Does Val just not want to, rush him too much? But at the same time, you don't want to hamper his development by only playing him 60-odd minutes here, 30-odd minutes there or 45 minutes. So a little bit disappointing in that regard. Mark Schofield's in. He said, extremely entertaining game of football in very difficult conditions. Now, couldn't agree more. I mean, I think there was 1,459 Watford fans that made the trip down to Devon today, and it's not exactly down the road, let's put it that way. And 500-mile round trip it is, and the conditions. I mean, hats off to anyone that made the journey in the first place. If you're watching this on the way back, hats off to you. But the conditions, I didn't quite realise until I saw the pre-match photos. It was absolutely levering it down. And, great days. Those days are sort of great for attackers, but not so good for defence. And I think that game epitomised that today. We saw 6 goals in total. Now, we took the lead again, which is great because in recent weeks we've been going behind and then having to come back. And that's great and all, but you don't want to get into a habit of conceding first and having to make a fist of it to come back. Now, Friday night we took the lead and drew 1-1. And then today, Cam, we took the lead. I thought the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, whatever you like, I thought was really, really strong on Watford's part. It was some good passages of football, some good passages of play, really, really tidy stuff. And that first goal comes 10 minutes in. Martins is on the inside of the box and he finds a brilliant pass. He worms his way past his man and finds a brilliant pass for Edo Kayembe's 4th goal of the season. What a goal that was first, Cam. I thought Martins did a lot of the hard work and he made it look easy, didn't he?
Yeah, the way he took the ball down and turned with his first touch, it was just brilliant. And it's what we need to see a bit more of from Martins, because on the whole, I thought he was quite wasteful today. He, particularly for one of the goals, which we'll get into, he played quite a lazy pass and they won it back and countered. A lot of the times he's given the ball away, he's taken too long on it. But right there, that turn was fantastic, and he picked out an inch perfect pass. We normally get in that position and we we don't put our heads up and we don't look for who's in the middle. But Martins did extremely well to pick out KMB, and he's never going to miss from there, is he?
No, and he loves scoring away from home as well, doesn't he? I think that was his fourth, and only one's come at home, if I remember correctly.
I think that's correct.
It was Rotherham, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought so. So a brilliant start for Watford. Couldn't have started any better, really. You know, as Mark said, the conditions play a lot into it. Plymouth have got a good home record. As soon as that goal went in, though, I think John Mark said that not to get too carried away because Plymouth had gone behind in the last however many games and come back. So I was a bit like, oh, right, okay. But it didn't take long, Cam, for them to get back in the in the game. I said the post then because 8 minutes later, Ryan Hardy hit the post and it pretty much rolled across the line and didn't go in. And we thought, let off there. And a minute later, there it was, the equaliser, Azaz. Now, in terms of how you're feeling about that goal, Cam, he took it brilliantly, Azaz did. His 7th goal of the season for Plymouth. But he shouldn't be having the space and the time to be able to do that. And it's a frustrating goal to concede. And that hard work, that brilliant start, is all undone just 9 minutes later.
Yeah, you've got to credit what a brilliant finish it was to just sort of side foot it and curl it round the keeper. That was fantastic. But it shouldn't be getting to that, to be honest. We kept giving the ball away just again and again. We weren't really adapting to Plymouth's press, and they just kept coming and coming. They were really pushing for that goal. As you said, they hit the post a few minutes before, and yeah, they were just peppering our goal at that point. But we're not too keen on defending corners, and so that means we might panic and we might put all of our defenders in the box just to stop them winning a header. And that obviously leaves all that room, and they've got players in Azaz, Whitaker. They can score goals from that far out. So yeah, I didn't feel like we were really aware of the danger that Plymouth possess. And yeah, we didn't make it easy for ourselves, but it was a brilliant finish.
It was a brilliant finish, and they did score again 10 minutes later, Whitaker. I'll talk about that in a little bit because it wasn't as if that turned the tide of the game. It was like a basketball game, wasn't it, Cam? It was, one end, you have a go, then come and have a go at us. Oh, okay, you've had a go, we'll have a go at you. And it was, trading blows. It was quite the match for the neutral. I don't know how the highlights program do it now. Is it ITV or Quest have got it?
ITV, yeah.
ITV. That needs to be their main game tonight, without shadow of a doubt. If they do main games, if it was the day, let's put it.
They decide the main game before, so they put whoever's there like at the ground, and they sort of record and they do interviews. They were at the Vic for the Bristol City game.
Of course they were.
Yeah.
Typical. But it would have been a brilliant game for the neutral because, like I say, Cam, it was end to end, and we sort of had a half chance not long after that, and something that happened quite a bit, which to Plymouth's credit, they were very good at cutting out. We saw Andrews down on that right-hand side try and play a low sort of pass for Rajovic to tap in, and a couple of times we were close, but they just had that man, didn't they? At the last second, you think, yes, Rajovic is going to get it, and then just at the last second, I think Dan Scar was in there a couple of times, and Rajovic was denied his goal. But how good is it to see Andrews back in the team? And he's just natural, and he's grown with every game, isn't he, Cam?
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic today. He kept making those runs in behind Ballymumba. They'd clearly sort of identified that as a bit of a weakness, because we don't normally see Andrews essentially playing right wing. We see him with a bit more balance. And while it did hurt us at times, having our right back that high up, it gave us a lot of joy, and he should have come out of that first half with a couple of goals, shouldn't he?
He should have done. And yeah, we were sort of saying he could have easily been on a hat-trick, and it's frustrating for him because you go to have a bit of a go and then you realise, right, he's still learning his trade, but he's doing brilliantly, I think, and he's growing game by game, and it's just good to see an out-and-out right back in that position, because it was so clear how many times Deli Bashiru was getting caught out. And I've got nothing against Deli Bashiru, always gives 100%, but sometimes you're just not fit for that position. And I do worry about how he would have fared today up against their wide players, and their forwards. Whittaker, albeit he was on the other side for most of it. Hardy as well, he was a real handful. Talking of Whittaker, as I said, 10 minutes after Aziz scored that beautifully finished goal, Whittaker scored. Now, Cam, Ben Hamer, we ourselves in person were singing his praises quite literally 2 weeks running in Lancashire. And it was thoroughly deserved, and he deserved all the chance he was getting and all the praise, but not his finest moment. And there's been a couple of question marks recently over some of the goals. I saw some tweets at half-time saying, get Backman back in. I was like, right, okay, we're back to that, Watford, are we? But he's got to be doing better there, hasn't he? Can he on the replay, it goes through his hands, and again, he's sort of beaten a little bit at his near post. And yeah, a really avoidable goal. And Whittaker's like, thank you very much. I've done that 13 times this season. Here's number 14.
Yeah, and it's not the first time he's been beaten at his near post like that. It is clearly a bit of a weakness of his. He sort of a powerful shot at that near post. He's letting it in most of the time. If people are calling for Backman back in, I think that means we probably should be looking for a new keeper in January, because we know what Backman's like. We know Hamer's not the most reliable. I'd like to see us move for someone, as unrealistic as that is. The goal itself, though, you can't solely blame Hamer for it.
No.
Well, maybe he could have saved it. I thought there are other players that could do better. Ryan Porteous just completely mistimes a challenge, as we know he can do sometimes. And yeah, that leaves us wide open. Poor James Morris. I don't think he does too much wrong here. He initially blocks whatever Whittaker's trying to do, and he's just unlucky that Whittaker gets on the rebound. So yeah, I thought at times, particularly then, we were just far too open in that first half.
Yeah, and perhaps that played into Plymouth's hands a bit with it being so open, from one end to the other. And I felt like it was very much a case of we were very much in control when we were trying to get forward, and I really liked our attacking play today. But too many times we'd give the ball away, it'd be too sloppy, and they'd look to hit us on the counter, and it was so obvious what they were trying to do, but we just didn't have an answer to stop it. And yeah, to go 2-1 down, because I don't necessarily think it was one of those games where we deserved to be 2-1 down. Personally, that's what I think. I think the game was that open. Yes, it could have gone any way, but it didn't feel like we were playing poorly, and Plymouth were in a bit of a good spell at the moment, and they deserved to take the lead. So that's what makes it more frustrating. And of course, after just 5 minutes after Plymouth took the lead to go 2-1, that's when we talk about Andrews could have been on a hat-trick, because he finds that space on the inside, and it was a brilliant pass. I can't remember who the pass was from now. Was it Rojovic?
Probably not.
No. Well, no. He did some good link-up play today, to be fair to him. But there was a pass, I can't remember who it was from, and he cut inside his man, Andrews did, and ran from inside of his man, and he went through, and I was celebrating. I thought, this is a goal, and he put it just wide. And
you can see sort of with his control and the way he can sort of brush past players now. I know the finish wasn't there, but that was really, really good play. And I don't think he would have been doing that at the start of his Watford career, at Coventry away. But he's really matured as a player in his short time with us.
Yeah, and that's the beauty. We've got a coach where he looks like he's actually coaching him. He's not having to put up with starting well, then or sacking a manager, getting a new one in. Watford of old, at this time of year, we might have been on manager number 2 or manager number 3. So, that doesn't help the young players grow. We're seeing it with João Pedro at the moment. The Zerbi said the other day, he'd be very surprised if they could keep hold of him. But that's because he's got a manager that can coach him, and they're not relentlessly changing managers as often, and they're reaping the benefits of that. Thank you for Crouchy. Crouchy, I don't know why I've called him that. Thank you for Joe, who said it was Livermore that played that chance in, and Livermore again came today. Just a quick side note on him. I thought there were a couple of times where, again, it might not have been his best game in a Watford shirt in terms of the way how he played, but I thought it was a very experienced, professional performance from Livermore. A couple of times I sort of found myself being like, why has he done that? Or why hasn't he gone for that ball? But I think the way that he broke up play in the middle at times today, one or so silly little fouls, and just was very professional in the way he went about it. I thought he had a good game in that sense. Does that seem you'd agree, or did you see something completely different?
No, yeah, Livermore was, for me, probably the man of the match. He was certainly up there. Really important player to have, especially on away games. I mean, we know all this. We know what he brings. He's a leader. He's an absolute rock in that midfield. Like, he doesn't let players past him. There was one moment in particular, one of their free kicks, sort of Hamer made a good save, but the moment the Plymouth player struck the ball, Livermore immediately turned and ran towards the goal, and
he put it out for throw.
Yeah, and if he didn't anticipate like that, then they've probably got a tap in, and they go 4-3 up or whatever. So yeah, it's become pretty clear what he brings. I'd still like us to get another defensive midfielder in, but another really good display. And got to mention that he was on a yellow for half the game, so really well disciplined to not get another one.
He was, yeah. Now, it's interesting because I can't remember if it was you or someone else that was telling me the cut-off for yellow cards, but they said, because Porteous got a yellow card today, he's got one. If he gets one more, he's got a 2-game ban. But I thought the cut-off had already gone.
I think the cut-off has already gone. I think John got that one wrong.
Hopefully, because we could really do without missing him for 2 games.
Yeah, but also it wasn't Porteous that got booked. He later corrected himself. It was Yasser.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe Porteous would have been booked for the verbals on the edge of the box when we give 2 stupid fouls away. Yeah. I mean, luckily, thank God, nothing come of them. But that's what frustrates you, really, isn't it? As I mentioned, it was very open, and Plymouth were having a go. We were having a go. And it wasn't long before it was 2-2, and some brilliant work again, Cam. Some brilliant link-up play with the team. I felt like our goals today come off the back of some really good football, and we saw Georgie and Kone sort of come together for this one, and Kone doing what Kone does best. I don't think I've seen him score a tap-in yet for Watford. They're all either long ranges outside the box or absolute beauts of a strike, like today. And I said on Twitter, like David Brent, that meme, who else has seen this filth? And it's just like, it was a brilliant goal, wasn't it, Cameron? And that is what Kone's capable of. And I know you said it wasn't his best rounded performance. So many times this season we've seen Kone, and he's really stood out, and he's really run his socks off and got stuck in and looked to get us driving forward. I think the last couple of games we haven't seen that. How much of that is down to fatigue, I don't know. It is relentless. We are playing a lot of football at the moment. But the fact that he can still crop up and score a goal like that, we've got a player on our hands there, Cam, if we can nurture him correctly, haven't we?
Yeah, the 2 number 8s in the team, Kone and KMB, they're both having their best goal scoring seasons, and it's not a coincidence because they can both hit a ball. They've got a brilliant strike on them, both of them. And what we did today was we got them in really good positions around the box, let them shoot, and we reap the rewards. I think we'll continue to get a lot of goals from midfield this season. Obviously, we saw Livermore add one on Friday, so that's a really good trait to have. You need to be able to sort of source goals from all over the pitch. As for the build-up, there was quite an interesting dynamic between Georgie and Kone in that first half. When I saw the lineup, I thought, okay, it's probably Georgie on the wing, but then it ended up being Kone, but then Georgie went out on the left and they just kept swapping round, and we saw a bit of that for this goal. Georgie was out wide, Kone popped up in the middle, they were sort of interchanging, and yeah, it worked to great effect, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just a word on Georgie. Last couple of games, he's come on and really drove the team forward, which is what we want from midfielders. It reminds me very much of how Will Hughes used to be for us in the Championship in that lockdown season. He'd just get the ball, and any opportunity he could, he was getting forwards. And what did you make of Georgie out wide today, Cam? Obviously, we saw him at fullback against Leeds earlier in the season. We've seen him in midfield, and now we've seen him out on the wing. Do you prefer him in the middle, or because for me, if I'm being brutally honest, didn't really do much out on the wing, but I don't think we used his side as often as we could. I think we tried to be too much down Martin's side, so maybe it's harsh of me to try and critique him based on the fact we didn't really go down his side much.
No, I thought he put in another good display, and he's certainly staking his claim for a starting spot. But as you say, we didn't really get him involved on the wing. It was sort of when he came into the middle, and particularly in that second half, that's where we got him involved, and that's where we got him driving at them. And whenever he is driving at them, I have so much faith in him that he's going to make the right decision, or he's going to beat his man. And it's such a useful thing to have, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. He's absolutely shown. I mean, it's since that rumor came out, really, about him wanting to leave. He's really stepped up. It was Blackburn away, the first game I noticed. He was just incredible. So, yeah, really, really useful asset to have, and especially with KMB going off to AFCON.
Absolutely. This is what we want, I still find it mad to this day that we're all worried about Kayembe going off to AFCON. And it's a bit like the Decore story, isn't it, Cam? We didn't know we had a player like Decore, and he come on. I think someone got injured against Southampton, and he come on. And we were going to let him go out on loan in the January, and he come on and he stayed, and the rest was history, as I say. He's doing well at Everton at the moment, so really showing what type of player we had in our hands there. And it's quite similar for Kayembe, really. We're playing him in a position which he knows and where he can flourish, and a bit more attacking than what he played under Rob. So I'm delighted for Kayembe, but it is good to see these players putting the performances in with Kayembe going. I don't know who they've got in their group in AFCON, so I don't proclaim to know a lot about DR Congo. I don't know if they're one of the favourites or if they're going to get knocked out. But I'm sure we'll all be keeping an eye on and hoping that it's an early exit. And hopefully as well, they don't use him. As frustrating as it would be, it'd be quite handy because it'd still be quite fresh. The last two internationals games that Congo had, I tend to check how our players are getting on internationally. And he didn't even come off the bench. They've got another Kayembe who's a right back, but I can't remember his first name. But yeah, hopefully, he goes and he doesn't play much, so we'll take that. But it is good to see these players coming in and making a name for themselves and putting performances in, and sort of making us less worried the fact that we'll have a Kayembe-shaped hole in the midfield from here on in. So it'll be interesting to see who plays there going forward. For me, Chakvedadze and Kone, for me going forward. Is that what you'd go with as well, Cam?
Yeah, it is. I don't think there's enough of an argument for TDB to come in, but I do think Deli Bashiru has something to offer. He's really, I mean, I said it on Friday, he's really good at driving with the ball. I want to see him more in midfield. I didn't think because he came on today, I didn't think he was sort of on at the best time to show what he can do. But he's definitely got something to offer. He can work his way in there if Kone or Chakvetadze are having, a bit of an off week. There's also Imran who's I don't think he's the right kind of player to complement this midfield. He doesn't quite have the energy. There could be a place for him, but I don't know. I'd rather any of the other three, to be honest.
Absolutely. Just a side note before we carry on, for those that are watching live, if there's a bit of a delay or anything like that from when Cam's speaking to when I am, it's from my side. I streamed the game today and I might as well have watched it in 15 seconds increments because my stream was buffering like you wouldn't believe. And I'm getting a bit of that with Cam. So hopefully there's not too much of a delay from when I speak. And just as I say that, my cat has turned up. So if you hear the cat, then you know that she loves coming on the podcast. So I'll try and mute my mic when Cam's speaking so that she doesn't get picked up. But yeah, so it was 2-2. And we're thinking, okay, yeah, we're still in the game. Happy days. Let's get to half time. Let's see what we can do. Ryan Hardy had other ideas, Cam. And again, prime example, Ben Hamer at his near post. Can't be beaten there, can he? 3-2, 42 minutes on the clock. Really frustrating goal to concede, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's again, we're just completely open. But can you just remind me who was Hardy 1v1 with there? It was a centre back, wasn't it?
Now you're asking. I think, was it not Hoot?
I think it was, yeah, and it was on our right hand side, which just shows because Ryan Porteous was all the way in midfield and Ryan Andrews had made one of his runs at the pitch. So we were completely open. Hoot and Livermore had their work cut out for them between them. But yeah, it was Hoot, I remember now, yeah. And I just think he's got to close down his man there. It's a good finish. Apparently he completely mishit it, but that's unsavable. And really, it's a kick in the teeth to concede and so close to half time.
Yeah, that it's always frustrating when you concede just before half time, and especially in the manner that we did. It's so avoidable, and the amount of times, Cam, we've sat on this podcast and talked about Watford gifting, goals away, and this really was a gift because what I do is whenever Watford are playing and it might not be available or people might not have ways or means to watch the game, I generally speaking try and video the goals. And I've got the goal here. I don't want to show it on screen because I don't want us getting done for copyright or anything. But there is such a gap between Hoot and Porteous, and it's Hoot that's he gets turned and he's the one backtracking then, which leaves Wesley one-on-one with him. And the frustrating thing is Wesley has to go over to cover for it because that then leaves he could just square it and it's a tap in. So either way, we were screwed really. And Wesley sort of tries to show him on his weaker foot and he's losing his balance and it goes in near post and it's a really poor goal to concede. And I don't know, that's obviously something that they should work on in training, the goalkeepers. But I think whoever the goalkeeper coach is needs to sort of have a word with Hamer and try and work on these more specifically because we can't keep conceding goals from near post. You look at the Blackburn game. I think Hamer even put his hand up to that and said, look, I should have done better there. I wasn't expecting it or whatnot. So, yeah, really disappointing. Half-time was here. It was 3-2. But, Cam, I would say going into that half-time, I was annoyed that we were losing, but I wasn't disheartened. And again, I think that's credit to this Watford side, never giving up and really pushing till the end, bar Boxing Day, you could probably say. But we made a sub at half-time, and it was a sprayer on for Kayembe, and I was surprised, but how much of that is down to them having conversation with Congo about Kayembe not playing a full night? I don't know. I personally would have took Kone off for a sprayer, but it was a good sub to make. Is that the sub you would have gone for as well, or do you think they had an agreement with Congo and therefore that's why Kayembe came off?
No, I doubt it was that, but I was struggling to think what sub to make because I knew Yasser had to come on. He would have thrived in that first half with how open it was. I just didn't know who you could bring off for him because we had Martins. We know what he can do, and I didn't want to take Georgie off on the left wing. So yeah, it was between Kone and Kayembe, and I think Kayembe was just taking a bit too long with the ball every time he got it. He sort of put us in trouble a few times, and I don't think, despite the goal, I don't think he had his best game. So I get why it was him taken off, and it was a much more sort of dynamic midfield when he did come off. So yeah, it was probably a good call, unlike the rest of the subs that Val made.
Well, we'll definitely touch on them. I mean, I probably, like I say, would have gone for Kone. I just think Kayembe can really help break up play, and he's energetic. And we sort of needed that because the gaps as well in midfield at times today, Cam. Livermore had the freedom of Devon at some spaces. You know, there was so much space to play through. And I think Plymouth were quite naive there. You know, they were definitely there for the taking. And on another day, hope we might have been a bit more clinical. But hey, Watford being clinical, if only. But yeah, it was really frustrating. I mean, we started the second half, really, really well. Rajovic had that shot that was deflected. Talk to me about him today, Cam. Rajovic. He obviously splits opinion. He's our top goal scorer, but at the same time, he's not the best. I think, sometimes looks for the easy pass as a get-out card, and he'll play these short little passes as opposed to trying to hold on to it and beating his man. And I don't know whether I'm being too harsh on him there, but I think sometimes, like I say, he does just look to play an easy pass as a get out of jail card. But I think today, he made a nuisance of himself as best as he could, and he was unlucky not to score. As I say, a couple of last ditch sort of blocks and clearances sort of denied him a couple of tappings really, and then that chance in the second half straight away. I don't think we can be too harsh on him there, but there was one chance actually which I've missed in the first half where he was bearing down on the goalkeeper and the ball just about had enough to get back to the keeper. But for me, he feints his run. He slows down, and you cannot do that. I cannot at all. But bearing in mind that, how would you sum up his game today? Because we know that Bio isn't the best finisher in the world, but what we do know is he'll press and press and press and work his socks off. Quite the opposite, literally, to Rajovic, who may not press and press and press and work his socks off, but scores goals. So how would you sum his performance up today?
Too much credit for being a good finisher, to be honest, because the chances he's missed in his last few games, I mean, I don't know. I'd back Bio to put most of them away, to be honest. You mentioned that chance with the 50-50 with the keeper. I don't know why he pulls out of it, but not only he pulls out of it, he completely jumps out the way of the clearance, which if that hits him, it could go anywhere. It puts him under all kinds of pressure. So yeah, I don't think there can be any debate now that we've seen enough of Mileta Rajovic starting games. He just doesn't offer anything. It is literally like playing with 10 men. It's not a coincidence that we had so many chances in that game and only one of them fell to Rajovic, which, to be fair to him, he did well to make the space for that chance, and he's unlucky that it got blocked. But other than that one moment, he offered nothing. We're just under so much pressure because we don't have a striker. We got no way of getting out when, we need to go long. He doesn't win headers. And you mentioned that he tries to play the short pass as a get out of jail. There's nothing wrong with that because, at the end of the day, it gets us up the pitch. But he tries to play the short pass and he underhits it. It gets intercepted. He can't even do that right. So personally, I can't believe he lasted the 90 minutes. When Healy came on to play midfield, I thought, what has this guy got to do to get a game in his position? I just can't. I mean, I get it because it's Val's man. He's signed Rajovic. He said, yeah, this is the guy I want. And he's sticking with him. But at some point, he's got to realise, because we all know when we see Rajovic in the starting lineup, we all know how it's going to go. We all know that he's not going to be involved at all. And there's the off chance that he might pop up with a tap in. But is it worth it for everything else we lose? I don't think it is. So yeah, I'd hope to see. I mean, I think it will be Healy for Chesterfield, but I think looking further, I'd like to see Healy start up top against QPR, or even go get someone new.
Yeah, I do worry that we're not going to go out and sign a striker in the transfer in the January window. And yeah, it's got to be Healy for Chesterfield, as you say. Can't really think who else has who else would play. I know obviously Ryovic could be an option, but we haven't even got any young strikers. I don't think that have made the bench at all. Adeyemi's injured as well, so yeah, possibly Healy for the game against Chesterfield on Saturday. We've got a message here from Matt2890. Happy New Year to you both. Happy New Year. I should have mentioned that at the top of the show. I was too busy not trying to stumble on my words. So Happy New Year to everyone watching and that listens back. Matt said he'll take the point. He felt like at half-time we could get back into the game because we were playing really well. That's exactly what I said, Matt. And Matt's also had something to say on Ryovic. He said Ryovic played well when he found some good areas today, but when he slows down, I feel like it then loses our momentum and we have to rebuild again. I think today we saw Ryovic press more than he usually does, but I can't help but wonder what would have happened if Bio was playing, because I think that keeper had something dodgy about him. I was waiting for one of these pass backs to be sliced or completely shanked, and it could go anywhere. As you say, all it's got to do is take a deflection. But with the game going on and on, Cam, I was sort of... It still had the element of being end-to-end, but as the game went on, both teams are sort of starting to tire. I think Plymouth tired first, made a couple of early subs, and then we started to tire even when we'd made the subs. But 57 minutes in, Livermore, brilliant ball over the top. Ryovic gets shoved in the back. I wasn't really concentrating too much on that, so I don't know whether it would have been a Stonewall pen. I mean, it wasn't given. Andrews is in there, and my word, for a right back, what a finish this is. Like, he takes it down, and then with his right foot, completely, flat foots the keeper, 3-3, and you can see what it meant to him as well. His second goal in professional football, his first coming against Birmingham City at home, and then today away at Plymouth Argyle. Delighted for the lads, Cam, and he took it really well for a right back, didn't he?
Yeah, and he'd been given that backline hell all day. Like, they could not handle his runs. They were not tracking him. And yeah, this is good from Ryovic, I think, because he's in the box. He's taken a man, and yeah, it leaves Andrews a bit of space to run in behind. So yeah, as you said, great ball from Livermore, and that finish. I mean, he'd already had 2 chances. He wasn't going to miss a third, and that's just such a composed finish to sort of dink it over the keeper. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I want to see Andrews continue in this sort of really almost like a wing back role. I mean, we'd have to find a way to cover him better than we did, but I want to see him sort of running in behind more often, and we've got the players that can pick him out. So yeah, really, really good performance and well-deserved goal.
You mean you don't want to see Ryan Porteous at right wing back again? Because that was something to behold, wasn't it, Cam? Was it Blackburn that happened?
No, it was Preston. And to be fair to him, he didn't do a lot wrong, but that's because we were cruising at 3-1 up by the time he came on.
Exactly, yeah. Let's talk about the double change then, Cam. Obviously, you mentioned Healy come on, went into midfield. It was Healy and Deli Bashiru on for Chakvedadze and Kone. You said earlier you weren't that impressed with that double change. I mean, you've mentioned because Healy meant that he had to play midfield, but Deli Bashiru, was that not someone you would have brought on? Would you have gone someone different? Would you have not made the change at all?
No, I see the value in bringing on Deli Bashiru. He sort of offers similar traits to Kone and Chakvetadze. He's just not quite the finished article yet. I know they've got sort of their fitness things. They've got the Fitbits that they have a look at, and they know when players need to come off. But Chakvetadze was running that second half. He didn't look knackered. He didn't look like he looked like he was going to win us the game if we kept him on. So I didn't understand that. And yeah, I didn't understand playing Healy in midfield again. He keeps doing it. He keeps bringing Healy on in midfield. I want to see him up front, and especially with Rajovic just not having any impact whatsoever. You want to bring on Healy, who does make a bit more of a nuisance of himself. He varies his runs. He can go in behind, and obviously you get him on for the long throw as well. So I don't get why he wasn't swapped for Rajovic.
Do you think Healy would be able to do it up top on his own? I know we just talked about Rajovic being ineffective, and anyone else would be better up there. I mean, you mentioned Kayembe up there for in the Plymouth preview, but do you think that's a role that Reece could do, playing up top on his own? Would we get the service to him? Would he add a different dimension?
People say this term. I've seen it thrown around on Twitter a lot of being up top on their own, but they're not ever up top on their own.
Not with
They've
the
got
wingers.
yeah, the two wingers, they're good support, and the midfielders, they get high as well. So I I think he'd be suited to what we were trying to do today and every other game where we've played one striker. Bio gets the service because he makes good runs in behind and he sort of gets in front of defenders. And Healy does exactly the same. He puts himself about. He tries to, get physical with the defenders, and he loves to run in behind. So I don't see why Healy couldn't do that role. And my only thought is there must be some kind of fitness thing. He's not quite where the rest of the squad is, because I just can't get my head around why he's not getting a game.
Mm. Yeah, it's a puzzling one for sure. And even at 3-3 though, Cam, I thought there's a real good chance. And Healy coming on, we've seen him come on now twice and grab us two important goals: the equaliser against Southampton, and then the winner against Blackburn. But even at 3-3, I thought we can still go out. To be honest, I thought we could still go and win it, but we could still go and bloody lose it as well. And we were talking about the fans at half-time calling for Bachmann to be back in goal because of Hamer conceding 2 goals, which he probably could have done better on. But really, it's down to Hamer again that we've sort of got to thank him that we've not come away with 0 points, because he made 2 really good. Well, he made 2 good saves from. He tipped Whittaker's shot over from sort of close range, and then he made that save from the free kick. Now, not to discredit the bloke, but the free kick one was pretty much perfect height for a goalkeeper. If that was a penalty, it would have been perfect height for a goalkeeper. But some important saves in there today, kind of amongst the goals, which he probably could have done better on. Do you agree?
Yeah. And we know that Dan Bachmann has a bit of a problem with free kicks, as we've seen this season. He lets in some very questionable ones, like the West Brom one and the Coventry one. I'm sure there was another one as well. I don't think he would have saved all 3 of those like Hamer did. Give him his credit, because he kept us in that at times, even though he might have given a goal away. But on the other hand, does Bachmann save all of those? I don't think so. So yeah, we know neither are perfect. We know that Bachmann has his good games. We know Hamer has his good games. I think the solution is go out and buy a goalkeeper, because if we want playoffs, which I don't think should be the aim this season, we can't be having keepers that let goals in that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for us to go out and get a goalkeeper. As I mentioned, Victor Johansson from Rotherham. He would be, top of my list. You mentioned Nichols from Huddersfield. I know they got a bit of a battering today, but it was against Leicester, so we can let them off. But I'd love for us to, but I just can't see it. I think the team clearly really like Ben Hamer, and I think it would maybe rock the apple cart a little bit if they're to get him out and bring another goalkeeper in. And Bachmann's been a bit quiet on social media and doesn't tend to come over to the fans at the end anymore. So God knows what would happen if you brought in another keeper to play. He'd be pushed down to sort of third string. So that'd be interesting to say the least. But a 3-3 draw for Watford in the end away at Plymouth. Like I say, Plymouth at the moment, they are 18th, but in the home form table, they're 6th. They've picked up 14 points from 20. No, they haven't. They've picked up 24 points from 13 games. Only 5 teams have done better, and 4 of those are Leicester, Leeds, Ipswich, and Southampton. So so they're in good company up there, and that away today makes us pick. It means that we've picked up 16 points on the road from 12 games, and we're in the company with the likes of Sunderland, Bristol City, and Blackburn, who have also picked up 16 points on their travels. And 5 teams have picked up 17 points. So we're only sort of joint 5th in the away form table, but with other results today, Cam, we are 10th, 36 points, and Sunderland are occupying that last playoff spot, and they won today, and they've got 40 points. So we're only 4 points outside. Hull are currently playing as we speak and are down to 10 men in the first half. They've had a man sent off, and they are away at Sheffield Wednesday. But Cam, I think on a whole, are you happy with that performance? Are you happy with that point? Is it another sign of this Watford team never giving up? And no doubt they were tough conditions to play in today, and we've come away with a really respectable point in my eyes. Are you in that camp as well?
Yeah, and I said on Friday that at this stage of the season, you can go and, I don't know, lose 2 games and you'll look like you're out of the playoff picture, and then you go and win 2 games and you're right back in it. So, look, a draw, it's a good result at a place where, Plymouth, they have a really good home record. They're a very dangerous team, as they showed today. But we went there and we played our way. We created chances, and it's nothing but encouraging, to be honest. With a few additions, obviously we're not the perfect picture right now, are we? We don't quite win as much as we could, and I think that's down to we don't quite have the personnel at the minute. But with a few additions, there's no reason why we can't go on a big run and sort of challenge for those playoffs. I mean, obviously, just seeing a style of football it's a huge step in the right direction when you look at where we were a year ago. So I'm pretty thrilled with that, to be honest. So I think it's been a good first half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark Schofield says attacking gets an 8, defending gets a 5. So overall, he's giving us 7 out of 10. I think that's fair to say, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's been the story of Watford season. Sometimes we can get forward and look dangerous, but at the back we're a bit too open at times. But yeah, as you say, Cam rightly pointed out, we've gone to a very good home side in the shape of Plymouth, and come away with a respectable point on a tough, wet and windy day down in Devon. So we'll absolutely take that. Cup action up next for Watford. On Saturday, we face the National League side Chesterfield, who won 3-2 today against mine and Cam's local non-league side, Solihull Moors. Solihull Moors were 2-0 up and lost 3-2. Will Grigg scoring, and me and Cam said at the start, that's pretty much nailed on. Will Grigg to score, I think. Chesterfield obviously sit top of the National League, got 62 points, and Bromley a second with 55. So there's a bit of a gap appearing, and Chesterfield have still got 2 games in hand as well. They're running the FA Cup, obviously putting them a little bit behind compared to the rest of the chasing pack. Will Grigg have 13 goals so far this season. So it's going to be an interesting one. Just quickly, Cam, we're obviously going. We're going to do a Chesterfield preview, so we won't talk too much in depth. But first things first, how do you see it going? And do you see him completely ringing the changes? Are we talking Backman in goal, couple of academy kids, Reece Healy up top? Is that what you're expecting from the game? And obviously Chesterfield have sold. I don't know if have they sold the complete Vicarage Road end out now. I think they might have done.
Yeah, they have.
They're going to bring the noise. They're going to bring the support. I've just got flashback to that Tranmere game a couple of seasons ago that me and you went to. But what are you expecting from the weekend, Cam?
Well, see, we've got a bit of a break now. We've got 6 days until that, haven't we? And then after that is 8 days until QPR. And we saw away at Stevenage earlier in the season. He wanted to go out and win that game. There were no changes, I think, other than the goalkeeper. So I am expecting quite a strong team. I think he'll throw in sort of players that are struggling for game time. I think we'll see Tom Dele-Bashiru in midfield. I think we might even see Imran Loser, and I'd imagine Daniel Backman will get a game. Nothing's going to get Reece Healy on the pitch up front, so I don't think I'd expect it to be Greaves starting over him, to be honest. Yeah, so I think we'll see. We'll see a few changes maybe, but overall it'll be quite a strong team. Pollock as well. I think he's in line for some minutes. And as for how I think it will go, it's not the same sort of mentality as the team that bottled a 3-0 lead to Tranmere. And I think we've come a long way. We might be able to beat some lower league opposition in the cup this time. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Mark Schofield says he thinks Backman, Pollock, Sierralta, Dele and Healy will all start, but I'd like stronger. Loser, maybe not if he's off this month. If you're referring to the African Cup of Nations, Mark, he's not actually been selected for Morocco, so he will be sticking around. So maybe Loser as well, but I completely agree with the rest of them. I think Cam said pretty much the same. It's going to be interesting, and hopefully we can beat lower league opposition, because Watford and non-league opposition or lower league opposition in the cup don't tend to mix well. But it'll be good to see the Chesterfield fans come down in full voice. Big game for them, obviously, coming to Vicarage Road, trying to get another big scalp. I think they beat Portsmouth in the last round, and I think Mark meant he was off to Udinese. My apologies, Mark. They beat Portsmouth, and I think Portsmouth, yes, they are. They're top of the Champions, the League One. So quite a big scalp that one was for Chesterfield. But like I said, we'll be back in midweek to chat to a Chesterfield podcast. Myself, in fact, all of us are going to the game on Saturday. We're going to be in the bunker about 12:30. I've never been in there, and the lads that do not scratch your eyes talk about it all the time, and it sounds really good. So I'm going to go check it out. So if you see us about, say hello. We'd love to chat about Watford and any other rubbish, really. But thank you very much for tuning in today. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you're travelling back from Plymouth as you're watching, you're a hero. I salute you. I tried to be there, couldn't get it off. No way. But we'll be back in midweek to talk about the Chesterfield game. But till then, everyone, take care and come on, you Horns.